Good morning, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. I have a lot of interesting stuff to share with you all. Some of it's personal, some of it is things things happening to other people that I know of or know I'm aware of. Um, so I'm going to protect their identity and anonymity. But this is going to be pretty interesting, I think, to folks. Um, because some weird stuff's going on, as usual, right? But I'm going to call this no warning. And I know that sounds negative and ominous. And in some ways it is. But in other ways, it's going to be kind of humorous in a way, at least the stuff that happened to me, I think. But, you got to laugh. It's like, you got to laugh. And not so much to other people. But the thing it all has in common is there was no warning. None. Um, it just happened. You know, I mean, some things you can kind of see coming, and other things just like, whoa, what just happened here? You don't want to be one of the people that say, "Wait, what happened?" But sometimes it's kind of like that. As a matter of fact, I actually heard those exact words come out of somebody's mouth. Like, what is going on here? What's happening? I don't get this. I don't understand it. So, the reason I'm calling this no warning again is because that is exactly what happened to. I think I'll start off with the baking stuff first. That's exactly what happened to China. Now, some people may or may not know about this, and I wasn't sure about it first because Hal Turner reported on it first, from what I saw. It was an unverifiable report that basically China went digital overnight. Now, I don't know about the whole country, but certain cities definitely. It was unverifiable at first, but then I saw a video on it of independent reporting. The mainstream isn't touching this, from what I understand. I have not seen any mainstream articles or news or lamestream or whatever you want to call it on this at all. But it appears, I mean, unless I just missed it, I haven't really researched that much, but it appears that they did, and there was no warning, none. And what they basically did was they deployed their police state, as they can do in a communist country. They deployed their police state overnight. I guess it would have happened the 22nd, which I guess maybe the 23rd in their time or what have you. But anyway, they deployed the police state, and they shut everything down. They shut their banking system down. Cash was no longer good. No currency. People had it, but they couldn't use it. It had no value. It had no worth, and it happened that fast. There was no warning, as far as I know. I mean, I don't think they informed the people. I don't think they told the people it's going to happen. At least from the reactions I saw, and I shared this video. I know I share a lot of stuff to the post, but I did share it, and I don't think too many people saw it, or they didn't comment or whatever. Maybe they missed it, but people can research this themselves. I mean, hey, we all have access to the same type of information, same type of things for the most part. You got a phone, a laptop, or whatever. I mean, we all have access to things to find information out. But from what I saw in the video I saw, there was no warning, and people were just like, "Oh my gosh!" I mean, there was story after story. People trying to get money out to pay their landlord, their rent is due, this and that. They were not prepared to go digital overnight. They were not prepared to be forced into a new system overnight. So they got no warning. That's what it sounded like anyway. Well, like I said, people can research that themselves if they want to. So that was the first thing, and then it was Green Eyed Okie, Jesus is the Only Way. She puts up quite a few videos from TikTok, I guess, and shares them to YouTube. And I saw this one, excuse me, that I thought was pretty interesting. That was like, it was called a reverse ATM, and I'm guessing it was at some type of event. I don't know if it's I think it was a sporting event, because at the end of the video, I think I saw some kind of a mascot or something like that. but I don't know where it was exactly. It was in the United States. I mean, nobody spoke with an accent or anything. They were all speaking English. I don't know exactly where it was. But they put up a reverse ATM because the event did not accept cash. And actually, it was Hank from God Soldiers Ministry now that left a comment about that. That when he was in Miami, I think it was, street preaching in Miami, they had similar things where there were things where certain places, whatever it was, where people wanted to go to, whatever thing they wanted to attend, would not take cash. But now they have like reverse ATMs. So basically, if you have cash, you have to buy one of their cards, basically. Uh, kind of like if people remember this, remember my kids were younger, you go into an arcade and you use your debit or credit card or whatever, and then, because I don't think, maybe it would take cash, I don't remember exactly, but you would, in order to play the video games, you would have to buy a prepaid um, playing card, basically, and it had like so many games on it, where, and then when it ran out, you would have to either renew the card or get another card at another time or whatever. But you had to have this card, so every time you go to a video game, you'd swipe it like at an ATM or whatever, or checking out at a register. So it's been, and that was years ago. I mean, when I used to take my kids to arcades at the mall or whatever, that was a long time ago. So this has been in the works for a long time. But but a reverse ATM, that's different. Because they're putting the money in, so it goes back into their account, supposedly, goes back into their account, and then they can get their whatever they need in order to attend the event through this like debit credit card type thing, I guess, because it would not take cash. Kind of like scan the card, scan a wristband, scan this, scan that. This is where we're headed. And then Greg Manarino just put out a video a few minutes ago. I'll get into my banking story in a second. But he just put out a video a few minutes ago that I just got done sharing. Pretty short. It's like 15 minutes, something like that. Maybe less than 20. But anyway, last night, apparently another executive order was signed, shocking, that basically put us into, according to his words, techno-fascism, which sounds about right, where they're really, really pushing the AI, which, I look at it more as alien intelligence, even though it's called artificial. I look at it as like alien intelligence personally, fallen angel, demonic stuff. But anyway, so they're really pushing this, really pushing it hard and fast ever since the Genius Act stablecoin and all this other stuff, man. They're just pushing this thing hard and fast. And I think these are the warnings now. So if people say, well, we're getting warnings, yeah, but how many people are paying attention to it? So when it does actually happen, whenever that is, it'll be like no warning. No warning, okay? So before I get to my bank story, one last thing about this regarding no warning, okay? I'm kind of doing this in reverse order. I wasn't going to, but I think it works better this way. If you have on your phone, on our phones or whatever, okay, we have Siri or whatever kind of Apple artificial alien intelligence, whatever that they put on our phones. Personally, I do my best not to use that as much as I possibly can because I don't believe in talking to machines, computers, phones, anything like that, especially to get answers. I understand why people do because they want to know, but it creeps me out because I truly do believe you're talking to a demon. When people get information from Chat GPT, they go to artificial alien intelligence or whatever, and they ask Siri questions and a thing answers them. Amazon, Echo, Alexa, or whatever. It drives me nuts. I'm thinking, it's nothing like, you're basically talking to a demon, like in the movie Nefarious. I mean, you think you're talking to this serial killer. The psychiatrist thinks he's talking to the serial killer. He's actually talking to a demon. Most of the time, the majority of the time, he's talking to a demon. Even though he doesn't believe it, that's exactly what he's talking to. He's talking to a demon. I think that's exactly what people are doing when they're inviting this stuff into their home. They have it, and they're engaging with it. That's the best word I think to describe this. They engage with it. Yeah, his video just popped up called Downfall AI Action Plan is Techno Fascism. He just shared it to his Substack. That was Manarino. But anyway, just popped up on my screen as I was talking to you. But anyway, this stuff is dangerous. It's scary. It's frightening. And I think, and the reason I'm talking to you all about this is I have a suggestion, okay? I would hope people don't have Amazon Echo or Alexa or whatever else in their homes. I would hope they don't, but I know a lot of people do. But I hope anybody listening to me wouldn't, okay? But if you do, take it out and smash it with a hammer, okay? And then burn it to the ground, okay? Oh, that's extreme. Is it really? I mean, you basically have a demon in your home. And people say, oh, that's not true, or I don't know about that. Well, let me tell you about something that is happening to a friend of mine that they contacted me about. And I've done everything I can to try to get this person as much help as possible because I live nowhere close to them. But we have like other friends in common, let's just put it that way, people we communicate with and other. So the people that need to know about this need to know about it. And they're doing what they can to help. But this is a person that is dealing literally with demonic activity outside their door pretty much nightly. Okay? And people are praying, people are fasting, people are praying spiritual warfare prayers. I've suggested and advised them some people they could contact, maybe with some help, that are experts in the occult, are more familiar with this type of activity. Um, like I said, I got to protect people's identity and their anonymity and so forth. But that's pretty crazy to be dealing with that on a nightly basis. And they have pictures because they have cameras around their property, and they sent me the pictures. And I've seen what these entities look like. They're caught on camera, on film, and there's no denying it. There's no denying it. The portals have been opened. Things have been opened that we cannot understand or see, not just through CERN, but other things. And I think one of the ways people open portals is through ChatGPT, Amazon Echo, Alexa, or whatever, listening, monitoring advice they have in their home, where they actually talk to this thing, try to get answers from it, communicate with it, have conversations with it. I shared a couple videos, again, Jesus the Only Way, Green-Eyed Okie, put out things where people are talking to ChatGPT to try to get the information about the beast, and, the Antichrist, and the system, and the plan, and everything else. Is like, whoa, it's crazy. I understand why they're doing it, but not me. Okay, I'm not doing that. You want to do that? You knock yourself out. I'm not talking to machines. I'm not talking to computers. I'm not talking to this stuff. I hate it when they talk back to me. Freaks me out. Creeps me out. I don't ask computers and machines and phones, yeah, if I have to use GPS or whatever, which I try to avoid as much as possible. But you got to do what you got to do to a certain extent. To a certain extent. But when it comes to actually having conversation on a consistent basis, or trying to get information and having these things talk back to you, or the idiots on Air One and K Love, the DJs. I when I do listen to Christian music, praise, worship music, or whatever on the radio, I do what I can. I do the best I can. A lot of it's redundant. It's the same music over and over again. I mean, you try to get some Christian praise and worship music, whatever. Most of the time, I just wind up popping in a CD, man, because I can't stand the DJs. I can't stand. They're so dumb. Alexa, tell Alexa to play Caleb. Tell Alexa to play Air. I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? You're talking about having no discernment, no wisdom, no understanding of the times we live in. And ultimately, there will be no warning when all of this comes upon us. And I don't know how else to say it. I mean, look at this as maybe your warning, but those are the words that were in my spirit. It's just like no warning. China got no warning, okay? People that play around with AI, when the demons actually attack, they'll get no warning. And I'm not saying my friend was doing this, because they weren't. But they live in an area where there's a lot of demonic activity. There may be some type of witchcraft or occultic activity within extended family members, possibly, or uh, you never know who you invite into your home. You never know who's on your property. You never know who, is in the area that you live in. I mean, you have to seek the Holy Spirit for the discernment to know these things. If some people might make it obvious, hanging out a effigy outside their house or something, But for the most part, they're probably pretty secretive, I mean, but some of them might make it obvious, things they hang in their windows or whatever else, or stuff they have on their property. But in this particular case, it's kind of an investigation to figure out how and why is this happening to this person and their property and around their property. But that's not as important. The how and the why is not as important as getting rid of this stuff. Because how would you like to be visited every night, tortured every night, freaked out every night? And they're not scared of it. They're not scared. Maybe at first, I mean, who wouldn't be? But now they're mad. And I can't say I blame them. It's like righteous indignation to get rid of this garbage. Get off my property. You don't have any right to be here. But then again, maybe they do, because of the activity in the area that the individual, the victim, may not be aware of. This is deep, 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 deep stuff. Okay, yeah, I'm getting a lot deeper in this than I probably wanted to. But at the same time, it's a warning for other people that might be dealing with this, or you will be, to know this is no joke. And people invite this stuff into their home with the things they watch, the things they listen to, the technology, the alien intelligence they bring in, the alien intelligence they already have inside their home, as well as other addictions, alcohol, drugs, pornography, gambling, whatever else. There are all kinds of doorways and portals that can be opened where people invite all of this stuff into their home. And then they wonder why everything's insane, everything's crazy, why their kids or grandkids are going crazy or acting up or whatever, or why people can't see the forest through the trees, why they can't see what is obvious right in front of them, and they're constantly deceived. They're like Jesus said, even the elect may be deceived, could be deceived, because there's so much deception out there, and there's so much craziness out there that people invite that, and it's already out in the world constantly. But if people bring it into their home, could you imagine that insanity? Could you imagine having to deal with all that all the time? And it's like, so you can actually, the blinders are on that are so thick. You could actually show somebody something, and they'll still deny it. They still won't get it. They'll still be just like, no, I don't see it. It's like, how can you not see it? It's right there. How can you not understand this? I'm speaking plain English. I'm explaining it to you the best I possibly can or know how. But they just want to constantly deny the truth that's right in front of them or being explained to them. So, anyway, that's the warning on this. No warning, but yet a warning to let everybody know that this is what at least one person I'm aware of is dealing with. I'm sure there's many, many more out there. Maybe you yourself, maybe your family, or people you know or know of. But if not, I'm sure it's coming soon. Because that's just the world we're living in now, this craziness, right? So, but getting back to the banking story here, this is what happened to me. And it's very similar. I shared it an hour or so ago. I do not watch South Park, okay? I don't watch Comedy Central. I don't even have it, okay? But I was made aware years ago of this particular clip from South Park that is absolutely hilarious, but also very sad, especially with the time we're living in, where the little boy Stan, I think his name is, his dad takes him into the bank, and he wants to show him how it works. That, okay, son, you got this $100 check from your grandma for your birthday or doing work or whatever, just a gift. Okay, well, we're going to open up a bank account for you. Pretty much anything any grandparent or parent has done for at least kids of my age, the when I, well, not kids of my age, but my generation, Gen X, maybe even before that, you go to the bank, you open an account, and the teller's there. They're supposed to be friendly and helpful and everything, And so the kid goes up and he's just like, yeah, I'd like to deposit this check into my account or do an account, start an account and everything. And the guy's like, oh, great, yeah, that's awesome, takes his check and he's just like, okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and start this account for you here and we'll transfer it over here and we'll start a portfolio here. And it's gone. And the kid's like, what? He goes, yeah, it's gone. Oh, what do you mean it's gone? I just gave you a check for $100. Yeah, and now it's gone. It's almost like a Saturday Night Live skit or something, right? And he goes, well, I don't understand how it's gone. He's like, yeah, that's just the way it works. I mean, I'm paraphrasing this. Check out the video for you. It is hilarious, But he says, I'm adding to it actually. But you get the gist, And 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 he was like, oh, please step aside, sir. He said, this line is for banking customers that actually have money in our bank. It's so insulting, and cruel, but it's funny because it's not happening to you, but it happened to me. I'll get to that in a second. Kinda happened to me, not really, but to a certain extent, a similar thing. So, and then, and so, then an elderly lady comes up behind the kid, and she's like, oh, yes, ma'am, such and such. It's just like, what can I do for you today? Yes, I'd like to deposit my check, my Social Security check or whatever, Yeah, okay, we'll put that in this account here, and then we'll transfer over here. And it's gone. He does the same thing to that woman, right? But it's funny, but it's really sad and also true, because that is exactly what is happening. That's what happened to the people in China. And it could happen here. People say, oh, no way, we would get noticed. Would you really? Do you get noticed? Do you get warning every time they sign an executive order? Every time they pass a bill? Every time they sign it? You got to really pay attention. They make it a big deal at the bill signing. They make it a big deal, when it's supposed to be wonderful and great with the American people, and it's ultimately just another way to screw us over. They make it a big deal then. But the whole process, you really, really got to be paying attention. And they know people are way too busy with work and vacations, retirement, kids, grandkids to pay attention to any of this stuff. So that's why they do it in the dead of night, in the dark rooms, and the back room deals, and this and that. And then it's like this big celebration when they finally pass something or they finally get it through, and the American people are like, huh? If you're paying attention, you're like, oh, great, they screwed us again. And then the dummies are going, yeah, this sounds wonderful. It's like, because you don't get it. You don't get it. You're going to be the ones paying for these new tariffs. You're going to be the ones. Everything that they put through is basically what you're going to be paying for. Not them, not these other countries, at least not to the extent that they say. It's going to be you and me and the wonderful, great American taxpayer, right? And then South Park proves that in the way that they steal the money out of the bank. And then, of course, the dad finally was like, I don't understand this. I'm trying to teach my son how the system works, and I'm trying to teach my son, that we could trust the banks. Yeah, right. And, and to open up an account and everything. And you're telling me his money's gone? Yeah, it's gone. What do you do? What can you do? So here's what happened to me. I get a notification that over my online banking statement that there was a purchase made, and I'm just like, I didn't make this purchase. So, and I was like, because I don't even shop at this company. I hate this company, so I know I don't make this purchase. I know I didn't make this purchase. I'm like, oh, great. See, I've had issues before where people try to steal my identity. It's probably happened to you as well. And I've had those problems before. And, they try to hack into your account and this and that. And they get your card somehow. Maybe you swiped it at a gas station. I go to gas stations a lot. And I'm thinking, okay, how did I do this? How did I do this? What did I do to where I gave somebody my information inadvertently? and now they have my banking stuff. I'm like, great, wonderful. So I'm like racking my brain. I'm like, well, I don't usually use the tap thing, but sometimes I use the tap thing if I'm in a hurry or whatever at a gas station or whatever. It's like that's probably not smart. Probably shouldn't do that. Like maybe there's something with that. And and I know that there are skimmers that they put at gas pumps or whatever else, but I try to be very careful about you know examining that and everything. I'm like, I cannot figure out how this happened. And so I'm but I just know that there's an unauthorized purchase. So, sorry, I got some in my teeth. I just noticed. But anyway, I have to brush my teeth again. But I'm like, how did this happen? So I just can't figure it out. And I said, okay, well, the how and the why is really not important. The fact is, it happened. So I go ahead and I file a fraud claim and everything. And at first, they won't let me file the claim because they said I made the purchase. Like, what? I did not purchase this. I don't even know what this is. Why aren't you letting me make the claim? So I had to jump through hoops, go through red tape and everything to try to, figure out this mess and how can I. So I actually had to talk to a human being, believe it or not. So the first night this happened, I was on hold forever. I finally said, I'm going to bed, man. I'll just try again tomorrow. And I did, and there wasn't as many customers in front of me. So I finally get through. I explained the situation, that I didn't make the purchase and so forth. So they believe me. So they put a hold on the card and everything. Well, you'll get a new card, in 4 to 6 business days. Still waiting for it. So I'm like, okay. So I hold on to the card. I don't destroy it yet because I've been to the bank enough because I can't use my debit card, and I'm not going to use the digital wallet thing. I don't understand it, for one. Call me stupid, but I don't. And two, I don't trust it. All right? So I go to the bank yesterday, and I kind of have my own South Park experience at first. Okay? So at first I'm greeted by this lady at the door. I think it was a lady. Not trying to be mean, but hey, it is what it is, okay? Anyway, I'm greeted at this lady at the door. Oh, can I help you, sir? I said, yeah, I need to make a withdrawal because I got paid and I needed to get some cash because I don't have access to my account right now until I can get, my new debit card. So, and I go up to the to the counter there, and the woman at first, she's kind of, how do I say it? She's professional but curt. Let's just put it that way. And so I said, she was, can I help you? I said, yes, I need to make a withdrawal. And she goes, okay, well, just take your debit card and put it into the machine there. And because that's how you would do it if you go to the drive up, but I can't use that card. So I explained the situation. She goes, well, try it anyway. And I did. And then, man, it was like, you ever see Monsters Inc? Way back. There's a 2319. I know people say, "Oh, 2319," but anyway, because the monster walks out and he's got the sock on his back, and then they all of a sudden they deploy the hazmat crew immediately, and then they basically remove the sock and and then they shave him and they shower him, decontaminate him or whatever, and poor guy's naked in the hallway in front of everybody. That's extreme, right? But pretty funny, but extreme, right? So anyway, I just remember that scene just popped into my head, for the hazmat thing. But anyway, that's how she treated my card. I was just like, yeah. So I put the card in the machine, and she's like, oh, it says here that your card is lost, stolen, or fraudulent, or something like that. And she goes, give me that card. And I'm just like, what? I'm like, what's going on? What are we doing, bomb disposal here or something? And she goes, give me that card. Just like that. She goes, I need your card. She goes, we have to destroy this thing. And I was just like, oh, okay. I'm thinking to myself, man. I was like, I get treated like a 5-year-old at work, man. I can't even go in the bank and be treated like a man or an adult, right? I got this woman demanding my card. So I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I want my money, So I'm not going to make a big deal about this, the way you're treating me, and and just I understand you're freaking out because the card's poison or something. I'm just like, but I'm just like, I'm gonna be cool because I want my money. But lately, people have really been pissing me off. I don't know about you, but they really, really have. A lot of stupidity at work, changing the rules every day. I'm an independent contractor. I'm not telling people what I do for a living, okay? But I'm an independent contractor, which basically means, according to the job description and the contract I signed, that I'm not supposed to be treated like a 5-year-old, and I don't technically have a boss. Wrong answer. They lied. Imagine that. Everybody lies all the time, constantly. So I get treated like a 5-year-old at work. We're constantly being threatened with termination if we don't toe the line and every little stupid asinine detail. I go to the bank. I just want to get my money out. And she's like, I'm thinking, so what do I do? I don't ask her, but I'm thinking, like, so how is it that I can get my money out? I mean, I'm not closing the account. I just need to make it withdraw so I can pay some bills and get gas in my car. So, so anyway, and she goes, and then she says, oh, I just need to see your ID. So, okay, so driver's license or whatever. And then I'm finally able to make the withdrawal. And this is where it gets really interesting. Then she starts to mellow out a little bit. And this is where you can tell what generation people are from, and even if you can't tell looking at their face, so some people look older, some people look younger, but she starts to mellow out, and she's very happy now. And here's why. I get a pretty decent amount out. I want to get a decent amount out. She goes, would you like that in 50s, 100s, or 20s? I said, 20s. And she looks at me and she smiles. She's like, you want 20s? And I said, yeah. And she goes, that's great. I got plenty of 20s. So I'm like, well, good, because that's what I want. That's what I need. So anyway, and she's just like, I can't believe you want 20s. Then she begins to tell me how so many people go to the bank and they only want 100s and 50s. And I didn't say this. I'm thinking, well, that's stupid. But I wasn't thinking. I didn't say it. But I said, yeah. Well, I said, but 150s. I said, some places won't even take them. I said, and you can't even get change for 150s anymore. And she goes, that's right. And then and I said, and she goes, this is why I have so many 20s. I'm like, thank the Lord. I'm glad you have so many 20s because that's what I want. I'd take 10s if you had them, and 5s, but 20s. Okay, that's what they had. So she gives me the 20s that I need, counts it all out and everything, and then she begins to tell me about how, yeah, you're right. You can't change out 100s and 50s. And she goes, she goes, in this generation, I'm like, yeah, here we go. Gen Z, Gen Alpha, I get it. She goes, they can't do simple math. I said, yeah. She goes, they can't count. I was like, yeah. I'm thinking, yeah. Well, a lot of people are functionally illiterate. Yeah, you're right. They can't count. They can't read. They can't write. They can't sign their name. They can't read cursive. There's a lot of things people can't do nowadays. It's like, I mean, I get text and WhatsApp from work, and I can't even interpret it for the most part. I have no idea what languages people are speaking. It's like I think it's English, but their grammar and punctuation and their sentence structure is so poor. I have no idea what the heck they're telling me. So I have to talk to them one-on-one, face to face, to understand exactly what they're saying and exactly what they're trying to convey, because they're functionally illiterate. I was like, I don't understand what you're saying here in this text message of this new asinine, ridiculous, stupid rule that we have to follow pretty much because you guys change the rules every single day. But anyway, she starts telling me about how she goes to McDonald's and she gives the girl behind the register, I guess, when they order a 10. I'm thinking, well, McDonald's is terrible anyway, but anyway, her choice. But she gives $10 to the girl, and the girl looks at her like, and it comes like 8 something, and just looks at her like, what do I do? And I was like, I need change, and she can't figure out how much money to give the woman. She can't do simple math. She probably can't even read the screen to know how much money to give the woman. I mean, it's just like, it boggles her mind. It's like the scene in Idiocracy when a dude goes in for, he's describing his symptoms, and, when he goes into the urgent care clinic or whatever, and the woman's sitting there behind her going, all stoned out of her mind pretty much, and he's describing the symptoms, and she's got all these different little buttons to choose from, you know, on, with these pictographs, just, showing, okay, his head hurts, his back hurts, his arm hurts, or whatever, and she's just like, which one do I pick? And she's listening to him, and he's describing all these symptoms. And she's really confused, so she just like starts pushing buttons. The poor girl, man, she had no idea what to do. So the woman, the bank teller's telling me this story, and I'm like, I need to get out of here. I got stuff to do, right? But I'm listening to her story, and she says, I just let her have the 10. I said, yeah, that's probably the wisest thing to do at that point. Just give her the 10. It's just like, why fight over a little bit of change? It's just like, it's not worth it. What are you gonna do? Call the manager because your employee can't do simple math, doesn't know how to use a register, can't read? I mean, what are you gonna do? This is our world, folks. This is the way it is, and I'm telling you, we're not gonna get a warning. I don't know how else to make it more clear. When stuff goes down one night, one day, overnight, like it did in China, you won't get a warning. When the demons show up on your doorstep, my doorstep, whoever's doorstep, because of Joe Schmo down the road, doing a seance and, inviting witches into their home and casting spells and practicing Santeria or wherever, depending upon where you live, if you're not paying attention to what's going on around you, if you're not vigilant, if you're not aware, if you're not in tune to the Holy Spirit, if you're not, being cognizant and having situational awareness, you're not going to get a warning. It's just going to happen. And then you got to deal with the crap, stuff, whatever, garbage. You know what I'm saying. You got to deal with it. So, anyway, that's about it. No warning. That's why I'm titling this "No Warning," because my friend didn't get a warning. I didn't get a warning that I was going to have somebody, make a fraudulent claim or, try to order something off my card. I found out what it was, but it's not important. All I know is I didn't make the purchase, okay? And I still have to wait for another card. It's supposed to be here maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But you're just not going to get a warning. Stuff's just going to happen. It just happens. People don't get warnings that they're going to be in a car accident. You might be able to see something ahead of time. If you're driving ahead, you see several car lengths ahead, and something going on, and you don't apply your brakes in time or whatever. But sometimes it just happens. T-boned. Happened to me and my son back in 2010 at an intersection. Dude decided to turn, left on a red arrow as I'm going through the green light going straight. He turns left on a red arrow. I had no idea that was going to happen. Sometimes you just get no warning. Stuff just happens. And you can't do anything about that, but there's some things you can do. You can prepare by taking money out, having cash on hand. Don't depend on your credit and debit cards. Don't depend on the system. Don't depend on alien intelligence. Don't talk to ChatGPT and Amazon Echo and Alexa. Don't have all this crap in your house. Like I said, take it out, smash it with a hammer, burn it to the ground. Do whatever you got to do. Do not bring demons into your house. Watch the movie Nefarious. It's free on YouTube for I don't know how long, or Tubi for I don't know how long. I think it's on Amazon Prime or something now. I don't know where it's at now. But watch the movie Nefarious, okay? That's it. The psychiatrist, doesn't matter that he's agnostic, atheist, whatever, atheist in the movie, he's still talking to a demon whether he realizes it or not. I mean, it's in our face. It's here. So, just be prepared. Be ready. That's all I can say. Much as you can be. All right, anyway, I got to get going. Y'all have a great and blessed day. Take care. Remember, no warning. This might be your warning. Take care. Bye-bye. God bless.